All right, I think we're live.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another session of live coding. But this session, like last week, is kind of different. We are exploring and experimenting live lesson. And the lesson today, we are going to have a journey about it. Would be module, of course, module 302, which is on-chain essential Plutus, and lesson 302.1, sorry, 0.2. And that lesson is all about how you can start your Plutus project from scratch. And by that means, if you have your development environment, you need to set up that development environment to your project, to your need, right? So we will look to that, but if we have time, we will continue what we were developing last week. And last week, we were talking about some key consideration in planning a project, a contract. And we took a concept of escrow contract and we were developing that. But I hope today we will have time to, again, going back to that and actually developing it more and bringing and discussing the concept and the points we talked and discussed today to that contract and some actual codes as well. So without the further ado, let's just start this lesson. So I think you guys already are familiar with plutus-apps and what is why it is necessary for Plutus development. But maybe that why is not that much clear. Okay, like okay, you know that we have to bring it in order to we have to clone it, this repository plutus-apps, and then running links, configuration, all this stuff. Okay, this is another, of course, there's a reason that we want that. But plutus-apps actually provides all the utilities, tools, and libraries, like, or a.k.a. a placeholder of all those functions for our contract. So once we use these plutus-apps, we are actually using what was developed by IOG team, and we can use those development for developing our project or idea or business logic or contract or whatever. So the first step of your project is actually set up in your plutus-apps. So you need to reach, or you need to have a place, of course, about plutus-apps, but you need to have a clear mindset about what development stage of plutus-apps, aka IOG, you want to use. By that, I mean, we have Plutus version 1, Plutus version 2, and maybe after a couple of months, we would have Plutus version 3. And all these Plutus, different Plutus versions are actually having different functionality, different function, different setup. All these things are really important. And even if you want to use Plutus version 2, for example, you need to take this in consideration of some minor changes, like some function deprecated or some function was added, or now this function got improved, or something about that actually might affect your contract. And if your contract gets affected, it means the end result, which is hash of your contract, will be different. And if it is different, it means the address would be different. So it is really important that you need to first find which version the major, minor, all these you want to use about your contract. Like you need to have some research around that. Like what are the things we want to use? Like do we want to go with the latest changes and latest features, or no, we want to go with a stable ones. And once you do that, we can start, or you can start creating your project, of course, a repository or folder. So, but let's do that. Let's just walk through this process together so you can see how these things actually make sense. But I should also remind you guys that these steps are actually very similar, or I can maybe say like 100% similar to the step of not updating, but upgrading your project as well. So let's say you build your project based on Plutus version 2, and suddenly Plutus version 3 is released, and you want to upgrade your project to that. How do you want to do that? Again, we will, by this step that we will go through. And you might found a project somewhere in repo, or someone post that, and you found that this project is old. Like they are using Plutus version 1 or something. And you want to upgrade it so you can update it and use it for your own. And again, this would be those steps would be again similar to this, and that is that journey would be again same like this. And I should say that this journey, this process is kind of sometimes inconvenient, because it has several steps. It has to be manual, but I hope if you guys know better way, sure, you can interrupt me, and you can of course tell me. And if you know a tool that can do that, which there are, but if someone build a tool, normally that tool itself become complicated, and we need to have another tool to just work with that tool, and then this process doesn't end. Yeah. So but if there are some simple tools which can do that, great.
And can we pause for a question from
Sure.
Jawar?
Sure, go ahead.
So I have a question that, for example, for a project, there is a cabal.project file, right? And it has all those dependencies in it. So
exactly.
If we have Cabal installed in our local machine and the GHCI installed in our local machine, and if I run Cabal build, it will automatically install all those dependencies locally. Am I correct?
Yeah.
So if I'm correct, so where is the need for this Plutus apps and the Plutus repository?
Well, back in old days, and by saying old days, I'm maybe referring 1.5 years ago. These Plutus apps you are seeing, this cabal.project file you are seeing, was very lengthy. Like there were maybe 20 or 30 even repositories, many packages were inside it.
You're right.
But now it is very compact, because we are using something called Cardano Haskell packages. So there is a place that all those packages that we were using in old time now exist in that place. But still we need some pointer. Like those packages have different versions, and some of those packages are coming from somewhere outside of IOG, which they don't have control over it. Like for example, crypto libraries, or some serialization libraries, or encoding or decoding libraries. They don't have control over it. So if they face some issue, they will contact that maintainer of that library and say, hey, please fix that or add this feature. And then they will do that, and they will implement that. Back in old days, we have to do it again manually. So we have to go through that. But now, because of Cardano Haskell packages, we don't need that. But because of these things that has to work with each other, like there are, I don't know how many, but maybe like imagine like 50 or something packages have to work with each other and must be compatible with each other. It's still inside the cabal.project. We have to reference some packages, for example, Cardano addresses or Cardano ledger or some other like Cardano wallets even. I'm not seeing it here, but I think we need to
No,
add
that I understand, because in all those all the contracts I've seen, there are some of the libraries in the Cabal project that are from plutus-apps or from OHK itself. But my question is the basic the startup is like you clone the plutus-apps and then go in the next shell terminal, and from there you do your Cabal update or Cabal build. So my question is, what is the need for that step? Why cannot we install Cabal on our local machine and install from the like build the project from there?
but you have to have plutus-apps and running Nixshell. Otherwise, you will end up, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 days of building of that Cabal build. Once you have these packages and once you use plutus-apps inside a Nixshell, many of those packages that you can't, of course, build it outside of Nixshell or outside of plutus-app, which takes several days to build, you don't need that. You don't need them. So inside the Nixshell, inside Nixshell of plutus-apps, if you want to run same command, Cabal build, you will build this project maybe less than 5 minutes, or maybe less than, I don't know, some around that. But if you run that outside the Nixshell, you have to spend days to build that because it will call so many other packages and they have to be built. But once you are inside your Nixshell, it is already built. Also, there are some pointers, there are some reference that you don't need to build them even. You can just download the build one already and use that build one inside your Nixshell. So you don't need to build whole set of packages or libraries from the beginning, which again takes time. So inside Nixshell, and of course, we saw there are some setting or configuration inside your Nix. Let me show you. Cat.
I understand, like it gets all of them from your cache, right? So I totally understand. My question is clear. Thank you.
Yeah. So yeah, inside these links, not only you can find the packages you want to download if your project needs them, regards to Plutus, of course, but you can download pair-built already packages as well, and you don't need to build them. And because they have hashes, and these things works with hashes, the other packages they want to build upon those already built or pair-built packages, they can just reference to that hash and say, yeah, it is fine, it's okay. And they can just continue building. But yeah, of course, it is absolutely and completely possible to run or build your project outside of your Nixshell or plutus-apps entirely. Yeah, you don't have to, you don't need to necessarily, and if you don't plutus-apps, like it is absolutely impossible to do that. No, it is not like that. But for the convenience, like for saving a lot of time, we do use plutus-apps and of course Nixshell, and then building our project. So yeah, let's create a project, but let's just let me make a project somewhere like Gimbalabs and the mkdir, like my project. Okay, and this would be my project. So I'm going to go inside it, and yeah, I have. Let me run the VS Code here, so we can see what's going on in better views. And then we need to go to Nix shell, but not right now. But I just want to show something to you guys, Bluetooth and Bluetooth apps. So you guys remember that we always use these hashes for Plutus apps. Like if we want to go inside the Nix shell, like for the first time, we have to go like git checkout, doing something like now we have 141 possibilities. If I want to show you, you can see there are all these different branches or commit that we might want to use. So you have actually around 141 possibility for your contracts or for your project. But which one do we need to use? That one was the one I was saying that we need to research like which one now it is good to use or it is a stable version of one. And inside our community, we can ask each other like what hash or what branch or what tag you are using, and we can just go for it. But let's say we have that, okay? Let's say we have that tag or that hash, and we know we want to use that exact one. So we will create a file here inside our project called cabal.project. Cabal.project. And inside cabal.project, we will put all these different references. So we have a file called, like, for example, myproject. Also, let me create that file as well. myproject.cabal. And if you want to build your project, which means the functions or all this code you've written in your file needs to call or needs to get all those functions you are using or types you are using inside your contract, they need to get these libraries. So you have to have these libraries locally inside your system. But how your Cabal can know where those packages or where those things exist? By cabal.project. So cabal.project is just say, hey, this is a list of, let's say, links. Just imagine there are a bunch of links. And if you want to build this, if you need a library, which I'm going to use, just query these links or search it inside that link and find it and just download it and add to my library of libraries or libraries, you know. So, but how do we do that? So let's say you have found your hash, and I should also show you that where you can find these hashes, these versions as well. So if you come to pluto's-apps repository, there is a place you can find like releases. Normally, and if you click that releases, normally releases mean that the development, the IOG development or Plutus team development, they are, I mean, in simple word, they are happy with that version or with that development setup. So they will put a tag on it. But behind that tag is always a commit hash. You can see that it is always here. And you can either use this commit hash or this tag. It's fine. There is not, like, they are just like alias for this commit hash. So this is the one. And if you want to use that, of course, first you need to set up your Plutus app. So if for example we want to use these tag, or like if we decided to use this one, first we need to come here and do Plutus like git checkout, and we want to Like we have several and this one. And if we do that, we will switch to that environment or like the reference of the environment. I cannot say if it is environment because you have to run this Nix double loop or Nix shell if you are running old version of these tags or hashes. You need to run Nix shell. But if you are if you want to use newer versions or newer tags or hashes, you need to use Nix double loop. But if you do that, your environment now is going to get built. So it is just now, it's a reference. So changing that doesn't hurt anyone or anything. And you can always go back to main, which is the newest or the latest version of this plutus-apps repository. So let's say that you have found this and you want to use that. But after some consideration and some testing, we in Gimbalabs found a nice hash or nice version of plutus-apps, which it is stable in most systems, whether it is a MacBook, it is Linux, or it is Windows. And there are many factors which we can go deeper, like what do we mean with stable or whatever, or less buggy, or facing less issue if you want to build, if it is Nix shell or the contract or whatever. But just we want to show like there is this hash and where did I copy that hash? Does anyone, James, do you have that hash? I just forget where did I put it. If I have a project, I can just look for it.
Yeah, I got you. The one
Thank
we've
you.
been using.
Yeah, exactly.
Give me 1 second. I got it right here.
Because I want to first show you guys, like if you have hash, like, you know, if it is a release, well, it is nice looking, you know where to look for it. Like it is in release and all these things, but I just want to show you first the hard way, like if you have just a hash, like how to do it. So if, like, let's say this is the hash. Simple, just search it. And once you search it, we should find it in commits. Like if that hash exists, we can find it in commit. You see that there is this commit, and we can just click in commit, and yeah, that's it. So then we click on this one. And yeah, so we are in this page, So, but if you want to, of course, go to for the Nix, plutus-apps Nix shell. So yeah, let's do the git checkout and then paste in this commit hash. We are just inside this version of plutus-apps. But here, where after coming to this page, you need to click browse files. And the reason is we want, as I said, plutus-apps is actually the fundamental, or it is like something under or a project, and we are building a project on top of that. Therefore, we need to use its cabal.project inside our cabal.project. And all this hassle, you saw that searching, finding, browsing is just to find that cabal.project. So we can, if we search, we can find
There it is.
it is the cabal.project. Go ahead.
Sorry, I should have been on mute. I just saw it.
Oh, okay. So now we have this cabal.project of plutus-apps. This would be our base, or maybe even baseline of or any project you guys are building cabal.project file. And we can just click the raw. So we get the content of that file in raw form. and just simply Control A, which select all, Control C, copying it, coming back to our cabal.project file and simply paste it. So yeah, you did maybe one of the most important step of all your project building. And the next step now is adding the Bluetooth apps to this Cabal project, because cabal.project, they do not reference themselves. When we need to add them, we need to add this Bluetooth apps repository, like as I said, like a bunch of links. Imagine there are a bunch of links. You see that there is these links here. So, but like they are fancy or more complicated links. So, but it is like cabal.project file. It's basically a file, directory of links. So, but we need to add that Plutus apps links as well. So how do we do that? We can just copy this guy, or like from here, it's convenience. Copying and going to at the end of the file, adding it. Sorry, I think I just again copy that. Doesn't matter, just copy again here, adding it here. And now we can just add the link, the Plutus apps link, which we have it here. Let me, we can just let me go into this guy. So yeah, the main one. We can just again select it, copy it, and add it into this here. So we can say, hey, this is the location. And then adding that hash, that commit hash, or if you don't have commit hash, and if you want to stick with this stable versions or a.k.a. releases, we can just add the tag. Sorry, I think I clicked 2 times. So here you can just copy the tag at the end. Sorry, not here. But since we didn't use a tag and we just wanted to use a hash or commit hash, which we found that more stable or like it is good, we will just paste this one. And then what would be the sub directories? Well, if you look at to the Plutus apps, you see there are a lot of directories. And by directory means, or subdirectory means packages. Like what are the packages inside Plutus apps? How do we find it? Well, here at the top, we just copied cabal.project, right? All these packages we want to again use it in our project would be here. So these are the ones. So we just take this, cut them, and here just simply add them. And that's it. So now you have all these packages, but do you need all of them? No. If you want them, sure, you can. If you want to have all things in your cabal.project, so if suddenly you want to add a package to your project.cabal, which we are going to look a couple of minutes from now, you can just leave it as it is. It doesn't hurt, or like if you add more, it doesn't mean that it will download everything. No, it is just, as I said, a bunch of links or location. If I want to use Plutus use cases, and inside Plutus use cases, maybe there are some other packages and there are some other thing libraries I want or function I want. Okay, just take these from this location. But if you don't want and you want to have a clean cabal.project, sure, you can just simply remove this. But based on our experience, you need to have like some of them you need to keep it, like Plutus script utils. It is useful, especially if you want to look for the how much your contract is consuming in regards to transaction, memory execution, CPU execution, all these things, sorry, memory usage and CPU execution. And of course, if you want to use PAB, sure, you have to add this as well. But let's just keep it as it is and move on. But what would be all packages? So if you have several folder and you want to have this different part of your project in different places, well, for example, here, I can say like I have a marketplace, and I can say this is the marketplace contracts. Okay, and I have something else, like another package I want to use, like marketplace utils, and I don't want to add them. Why? For example, you don't want to open source this stuff, or for some reason, you know, you don't want to just put every Haskell files or anything inside just one package. So if you want to do this, which is fine, you need to here add all these folder names as well. So the folder names would be actually your package names, and you can just simply add them. But since our project, or the one that right now we are building, it doesn't have this one, and we just want to go and keep it simple, we don't do that. So instead of adding this folder name, we will just add my project or cabal file in front of that. And we can just say that this is complete. So this step is exactly same with updating or upgrading a project. Let's actually try it out. So we have PBL 2023 Bluetooth template, and which you guys have access. You can find it in Gimbalabs GitLab repository. And as you can see, our cabal.project file, if we look for plutus-apps here, it uses this tag. Okay, and we want to just, you know, as I said, you just want to update it. How do we want to update it, or I don't know, upgrade it, whether any word you like to use? We will just remove the one that like these two are, I can say, like it would be better to add something like this comment about them, so you will know that these are direct dependencies. So these doesn't exist in plutus-apps cabal.project file, so you need them. And like, for example, Gimbalabs utils, like we develop a bunch of tools for making life easier and more fun. And of course, plutonomy, it is a library for enhancing your contract in different ways. For example, reducing the size of the contract, or changing some types inside Plutus core, or substituting, and the result would be that your contract would be like maybe kind of simpler. Therefore, the CPU execution and memory usage would be less. So plutonomy is a library that will compile your contract in better way. Like your contract would be like much less. How much depends, but in some cases, I've personally reached to a level of like 70% reduction in contract size. And of course, if you reduce your contract, it means the memory execution or CPU memory usage and CPU execution will be less as well. But in some other cases, because of, as I said, changing those type, we can actually look to it. I mean, If you want, you can. I mean, I have written something like inside Gimbalabs utils. It was downloaded here. I think we can, if we find it, where is it? I think. Do I have it here? Yeah, Gimbalabs here. It should be. I don't remember now. I haven't added his guy, but you can see there are some things that we will look to it. Don't worry, guys. We will like, what the hell is this, guys? These things, and we are using, of course, plutonomy for that. You see that is optimized UPLC. There are some default parameter to doing that, but there is an aggressive version, which is this guy. Like they have this one, aggressive optimizer. And sometimes you need to be careful about that because it will optimize that at very maximum. So the big contract behavior, you have to like be careful about it if you want to just making sure I'm being safe. But yeah, this is the guy that we can just, but you can also change this. Like there are a set of things that we can look through it and see that, yeah, you can actually change some of these aggressive optimizer options as well. So anyway, inside the cabal.project, you can add some tools like libraries or testing libraries that you found outside, like quick check, Agda, all these things that you like to use in your project, and you can just add it inside a direct dependency. And but above all, we can just simply like remove it. Like, just forget about it. Like, simply we can just remove it. And then we just made that here. So we don't need to remake everything, but just Control-R, copy it, and just simply paste it here. And that's it. See that's how easy it was. But of course, it was the first step. Because if you build your contract now, if you run this Cabal update and Cabal build, Cabal repair, all this stuff, you might face some errors. Why? For example, maybe like inside this like facet project, maybe like value of is inside another library, and here we were using like Plutus version 1 ledger.value. I mean, it is an example. Actually, it does exist inside there. They didn't change it, thankfully, actually, because things would end up very bad. But yeah, but let's imagine that there is some function was inside here, and for some reason they removed it, changed it, optimized it, whatever. And you need to be careful. So if your contract works and built with that hash, and by hash I mean this guy, plutus-apps hash or tag, it might give you several errors or whatever regards to the contracts, and you need to just, again, optimize it or adjust all this stuff. So any question? Let me check that. Do I see any hands, or I'm not seeing any hands? Okay. Davar, what do you think?
So the process you explained was kind of simple, and I understand. But I have a question. The contract I'm trying to rebuild, it has a dependency with the Plutus library, not with the Plutus apps library. So I would follow the same steps you guided, just using the Plutus library, not the Plutus apps library.
Yeah, I think you can do that because Plutus, as this was again one of the things in old time, the Plutus library, the Plutus itself was a reference inside cabal.project. But now we don't need that because plutus-apps and the rest of these guys will help Cabal to look for that specific Plutus library here in Cardano Haskell packages and then download that. So you don't need to reference it. But maybe one day, I don't know, maybe actually, I mean, do you have the link for it, the word?
Yes, you can.
Is it possible to
It's
share?
JPEG stores contract v2.
JPEG store,
Contract v2.
GitHub. Let's see, just go to their GitHub and see. Control, yeah, this is the, okay.
Yes, this is the one.
This is the, I'm sorry, by the way, it takes a little bit long for the network. I'm using VPN, but anyway. So, okay, let's look to the cabal.project. How long? Last year. Okay. By the way, instead of adding this, I just saw that instead of adding this one, like myproject.cabal, which actually here we should change it to what? To this guy. We should change it to, or I mean this guy here. We should just change it to this guy. But instead of that, you can just simply add // or even dot. And it means that just we don't have several packages, we have one package and just look for this guy. So yeah, that's is, but this is more explanatory, like it is more descriptive. So other developer don't swear you that much, like they would, but you know, not that much. Anyway, so let's look for other stuff here. Okay, these are just setups. Don't care, don't know so much setup. Okay, so like this guy, like if you see the newer version, we don't have that because it is now inside Haskell, Cardano Haskell packages. So like or cabal.project file is just smaller, or all these third library or Cardano base or whatever. So I'm just going to look for, yeah, they didn't add plutus-apps, I think. Let's see what here. So you were saying that there is this special, like, okay, they are using plutonomy as well, as you see. They optimize their contract and test mini script. I think this is, again, see, this is another direct dependency. This doesn't belong to IOG, I think. And yeah, they don't use plutus-apps. Of course, they don't. But how, if you want to just upgrade it, I cannot say 400% sure, but maybe actually because I'm not sure what they are doing in the repository, to be honest. But this is the process we have to do. Like if even we face some error, unless you will go back to the time or to the place which these hashes are pointing to that time, and then compiling this project and it will work. But like right now we don't have plutus-apps. So how do we do that? How do we, if we do not have plutus-apps, like if we want to use it, how do we search for it? Well, that's something like we have to check this guy, like at least just look for this guy, copy it, and we need to find where this plutus tag, I mean, sorry, this one, not this guy. This is the hash of the whole this package, but this is commit hash. This is hash of the whole folder. Like if you download it and make a hash out of it, it would be this. It's just another safety that, like if you're downloading something in middle of way, someone doesn't insert something inside it. If you think, if you want to be extra safe, that's a good way that you can do it. But yeah, this guy, we need to just copy this guy and let me try to find it in Pluto, like in what history, like in plutus-apps, this Plutus version was used. We don't have anything, unfortunately, here. So
It's
does
possible.
anyone know how to look for? Yeah, go ahead.
It's possible you will not find it because the newer versions of plutus-apps don't import the Plutus repository because everything is from the Cardano Haskell package exported.
So this is a
You
nuance.
need to get into the Plutus repository, look for that hash, and then look what version of Plutus Ledger API they are using.
And then search
Search for it in the
maybe they have in
Cardano
this
Haskell package.
Plutus ledger.
But the Plutus repository also comes with a Nix shell.
Yeah, exactly. But if you you can also run maybe your stuff inside Plutus library as well. But there is a problem, and the problem is you want to use some of these stuff, some of these, for example, Plutus script utils, and Plutus directory doesn't have that. Therefore, you cannot use Plutus script utils functions for yours. So sure, you have option also, like you can just if you want, maybe that's actually a solution for this. So if you want to just use this one and as it is, okay. So let's you can follow this as first. Let's go for Plutus. Plutus GitHub. So yeah. Then again, we will look for that. Where is it? Here, that commit hash inside the of course, you need to first clone it. You need to clone it, and sure, inside your if you clone that, maybe we can actually clone it. Sorry, git clone. I think I have it, but I mean, let's just clone it. And once you clone it, you can just simply check out to that commit hash or tag, whatever they call that. It's quite a big, actually, library. But until we reach to this step, let's just search this guy inside Plutus repository. And if the tag is okay, like, and I should say, like, do you see these 10,000 something commit hash? Actually, we were searching through that 10,000 something. So yeah, that again, somehow, I think this is the guy, but let's just wait for the commit load and yeah. So until these things reloads or loads, let's hear from Piotr. Piotr, what do you think? Piotr, can you hear us?
Sorry, I was on mute.
No problem. Go ahead.
So I had a quick question.
Sure.
You said, Ariel, that well, you showed us the function of plutonomy library, I suppose. Is it?
Yeah, plutonomy. Yeah, plutonomy. This guy.
And so there was a function that you said that you have to be, you have to essentially be careful to not overuse it, like the optimization function. Like, I wonder what will be the downside of like
your logic might behave differently. Like, for example, I think you've seen there are some people use this sorry, this time cannot pronounce it for some reason. This sign behind a value or behind a function. It is a practice inside of Haskell. And the reason is sometimes your contract, once they want to compile it, they would kind of just, I cannot say get rid of this function, but somehow they skip it. So if you add this sign, you will enforce that, hey, this function or this type, like you might seen it in, you see that we have this sign, this must be inside the contract as it is, inside the compiled code as it is. Do not change it, do not optimize it, whatever. This is a practice already happening in Haskell, and Haskell, because it is a lazy language, and lazy means it's like the language, the compiler likes to reach to a point, and the point here would be this function gets an input and gets and produce an output, and the compiler wants to reach to the output as much as best, as cheaper, as better, as much as possible. So it might get rid of some stuff in behind, but if you add this sign, it doesn't. So you will enforce it, hey, follow that step, do not be lazy, just hit the gym and do some damn workout. So yeah, this is that sign. And plutonomy, where is it? Here. No, inside actually here it was, and inside SRC. You can just check it out by the Gimbalabs utils. But I remember I wrote something. Maybe we will have. I mean, actually, you know, we had this plan for adding a lesson all about optimization and stuff regards to this. I don't know. Maybe I thought that maybe it's too much because there are so many stuff we want to talk about. But you know, maybe we should add it, to be honest. So yeah, once if you use this guy, optimize your PLC with, it use some default options, and this guy aggressive. Some of those aggressive options are going to change your Plutus core, and actually it is a warning inside inside plutonomy. So if you check plutonomy library, I mean their GitHub repository. By the way, guys, let me just turn off my VPN. Yeah, by the way, James, for some reason I don't know, I cannot reach PBL. I mean this site without VPN. I don't know. It doesn't
Really?
like me for some reason. Yeah, I don't
Even
know. I
if
was
you-
reaching. There is nobody. It is around 3 days or something that I
And that just started a couple days ago.
yeah, a couple of days ago.
And
So-
is the EN the culprit?
Yeah,
Does it-
here en.plutus.pbl.io. So I'm here. Like if I just refresh it, it just throw me an error.
Interesting.
Anyway,
And that happens without the EN. I'm sorry, this is besides the point.
yeah,
But
I have to have a VPN. Like I have
Okay.
to have VPN, you know.
good to know.
So that I see that just I remove this my VPN, and things are now works very fast. I mean, should work fast. Anyway, so let's just look for that plutonomy. But I just searched it, but I didn't find this guy. There are some pull requests. Issues. Why it showed me this guy? I'm looking for that commit hash. I mean, it's supposedly to be a commit hash. I mean, did I search it correctly? I not see any pull requests. Maybe it is pull requests normally have a hash as well, but a commit hash, I mean, maybe this is the one. No, this is not the one. I don't know why, but normally that it should give us some. It should be maybe this is no. Yeah, I see this guy. So okay, Cardano ledger depends. Is this? This hash is very similar to Cardano ledger. Okay, maybe I'm mistaken. So okay, yeah, we found that it was this guy. It took some time, but yeah, this is the guy. It was a merge pull request. It was really tricky to find it. If you are like if you are a GitHub guru, you can find this easily. But yeah, we found some. Finally, we found it, and then we will just of course browse the file, and we can maybe look for the cabal.project file. Let's see what we can find here. Flat, Cardano crypto, base, prelude. Well, it doesn't have ledger, Adrian. Cardano base, Cardano crypto, flat. Anyway, so, but if you want to use this, I think it would be a safe bet that just clone this repo, Plutus, then check out to this hash, sorry, to this hash, and then Nix shell or develop. I mean, I think it would be Nix, yeah, Nix shell, not Nix develop, and then it would. I hope it would compile for you without a problem. So yeah, that would. But let's just check this out. I want to answer a period question in regards to plutonomy. So if you go inside plutonomy, yeah, you see that if you want to derive from a project like that. Script, so I'm not seeing that, but I don't know. You guys see it can be plugged into use pipeline. See here this sentence. So at the default optimization level, the optimizer should exactly preserve the semantic of the original code, aka the step of that process inside your contract. But at a particularly aggressive optimization level, the optimizer can perform certain transformation that may not preserve the semantics. So yeah, that might happen.
I see.
And what would be the? I mean, somewhere I remember I wrote something more very. Don't remember very exactly, but I remember I wrote very descriptive options about these things. But anyway, so yeah, so if once you clone your Plutus repository, just go to that, and then git check out, then that hash. We just saw.
I was able to compile it with the same versions of Plutus, but the problem I'm facing is that when the test they have their test for the contract, right? And for that contract, they required Cardano Node 3.5.1, and those versions of Cardano Node got stuck in testnet. like
But,
back in
in
2023.
Have you tested that inside your shell, inside the Nix shell? Or no,
No,
done it outside?
no,
Because
I did it outside.
No, try to do it inside the Nix shell, because inside the Nix shell, even in plutus-apps, it's still Cardano node is the old one, 1.35.1, I think. We can just check it. You can see the plutus-apps. And let me just right now, outside of the shell, let me just Cardano, node, and then dash version. You see that now, right now, my version is 8.12, whatever, and with this hash. But once I am inside my Nix, but first let me git check out. I mean, let me git status. Okay, so Nix develop. So once we are inside Nix develop, for some reason they haven't updated. So if I just say Cardano dash node dash version, you see the version now is 1.35.4.
And is there
Okay,
any
so that solves
exceptions
my
to that?
problem.
Yeah,
Sorry?
this is a problem for me too that I've been racking my brain against.
Adrian suggested a way, but it is kind of risky because the Cardano node is a Nix store package. So it is already downloaded inside the Nix, and we can uninstall that Nix package. I mean, if we come outside, like Nix.
Yeah, I would recommend another way. I noticed that deleting the node in the plutus-apps is stupid because it's really hard to get it back.
Oh.
My recommendation is just to rename it. So if you're in the Nix shell, you can just look where the node is, rename it to yeah, go.
What? No. God's sake. Oh, okay. So
Do you have another node installed in the not in outside of the Nix shell?
yeah, I have.
Okay, yeah. Now type where is Cardano node.
Okay, which Cardano node? It is
No,
here.
where is?
It is here.
Yeah, no, please type where is, because you only
where
get
is?
one
Where is Cardano?
no.
I have this tool. Well, it doesn't tell me anything.
Yeah, it will show you two paths. One is in the Nix shell and one is outside of the Nix shell. And if you delete the Cardano node in the Nix shell, you would just use the one that's installed from the outside. But
make sure you're spelling Cardano too, because that's
where is Cardano node?
yeah, that's the one. That's the one outside of the.
Okay, maybe yeah.
And in the Nix shell,
yes,
you type it. No.
Card. Don't judge me.
You know, where I live, we leave out our R's, so somebody would say Cardano around here.
Yeah, and now if you see, the first path is the one that's installed in the
inside the Nix shell.
Yeah, exactly. And the second one is the one from outside, and you can just rename the one that's inside the Nix shell to Cardano node. I would call it the tag it is. So 1.35.1, I guess, or 4.
So how do we rename it, for example? Like just renaming this?
MV.
Okay,
MV.
move. Yeah, move.
Yeah, the path you
have not move actually. Let me just copy because it moves all of them.
No, you can. No, you should use move.
Why?
Because later we will then rename the one that's outside of the Cardano node. No, the one that's outside of the node you will copy into the Nix shell in the same path with the Cardano node name. And then you have the Cardano node from outside in the Nix shell but also the other one, but it is renamed. No, that's the wrong path. You just need the first one. The second.
Second one, we don't need that.
Yeah, you take the first
But
one.
okay. Let me just take this guy.
Yeah.
Okay, let's
You rename it.
Move this guy to.
Yeah, and now you just the same path, but you name it another name like Cardano node 2 or 1.34.
Old.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, sudo.
Yeah,
Should I do it outside of Nixshell?
no, you need to do it inside of the.
Okay. And some reason my R doesn't work. Okay.
Now you take the other path of the node.
My fingers have accent, you know. So
If you type Cardano node, you will not find it because it has another name.
-- version. Yeah, I just changed the name and now it is fine. Okay.
Now it takes the one from outside.
Okay, great.
And if you need the old version, you can just rename it again to Cardano node.
That's cool. Have you? What are your biggest concerns with this approach?
I'm not sure how it will perform for some packages, but it should work. I tried it. First time I tried it, I just deleted it, and getting it back into the Nick shell, the old version, is really hard. But I think there is no problem. At least I don't know one. I haven't found one. But because you renamed it, you can just
rename it again.
delete the old and you have it like before.
And this is actually an example of Nix as a powerful tool, right? Because really all we're doing is changing the reference to something that's already compiled in our system. Am I saying that right?
Yeah, exactly. But by the way, you guys, I think you need better to just store this path somewhere, because if you use various Cardano node, you don't you can remember the
search for the old one, yes, just for old.
If you can remember, but yeah, exactly, James. But sometimes it makes hassle. So, for example, in case Davar, he can now find that old version of Cardano node. I don't know if there is a history of that. Maybe you can find it. If you cannot find it, you can head to a Cardano node repository.
No, I have the old version. The problem is I could not find the previous protocol parameters
on the previous one. So
because when I run when I start the node, the version 1.3.5, it gives me errors that your topology.json file is not correct.
So can you run it with private testnet? Have you tried it with private testnet?
Yes, I have tried it with private. No, I have not tried it with
private testnet. Okay. So well, maybe in next week somewhere I can show you. Maybe I can set up a bash script or something. You can just set up your private testnet with any version you like, and that node actually would be private. So you cannot check your private or like all these transaction hash in some other websites because it's private. It does exist inside your system only, but actually in some cases, like your case, you can run it because exactly, you are right. If you have old version of node, you cannot connect to the actual network. The network will kind of kick you out, or it doesn't talk to you because you're talking gibberish, or I don't know, like my fingers right now have accent. So it doesn't allow you to talk with other node because you notice, oh, the solution would be a private testnet, in my opinion. I don't
Yes,
know.
I totally get it, and I'll try that first thing in the morning. I'll try with the
So
private
yeah,
testnet.
you can just, if you want to go with, like we have this private testnet Cardano repository, and it is just, it is not that much hard. So this is the guy, Cardano private testnet setup. I'm going to share the link as well in the chat. Also, James is asking about this private testnet session. If you guys, well, I don't know, do you guys recommend to have? If you want, please just respond to James' message. So if you like, if there are several people wants to have a session regards to setuping this guy private testnet, then we can just you know, have a session or extra session or something. We can just manage it together and then run how to run it. Although several weeks ago, Adrian have ran this session, and I'm using some script for that as well. So actually, I don't know, maybe by that session, whenever we decide, maybe 2 weeks from now, I can prepare some bash scripts or just run, like, I don't know, with 1 click or 0 click, whatever, and your private testnet would be ready. But yeah, until then, you can check this out. Okay. So where were we? Okay, so we learned about this cabal.project, how it is a hassle, and how we want to just get rid of it for safety of humanity. Otherwise, we go instant if we just continue with this hardship. But let's just continue our hardship together. But yeah, so now we have our cabal.project. And then we need to set up our project.cabal. Well, I can just simply just copy this stuff that we just here. So we can go through this creation, which of course, if you create that, you can just with touch with terminal or create file or whatever. And just let's copy this guy from here. You can find, you can, by the way, run this command inside your newly made repo as well, or project as well. It would be like cd, where was it? In my project. You can run this command, cabal init. But let's see what will happen. So if you run that, cabal.init created this guy for you. So now we have that. You see, this cabal.init just made this inside your file. So you can just do this, or otherwise you can just copy paste. If you are lazy like me, copy paste would be better than just using a save command. So yeah, but you can see that it takes some information, and you can see all this information. But if you concern about some version, for example, in plutarch, you have to have a version about above 3 or something. But if you don't care about this, and or at least it doesn't complain, your Nix shell, plutus-apps, plutus whatever, you can just keep it as it is. But I want to show you this running same command inside Nix shell, like what would happen. So let's just look for that. cd Gimbalabs, my project, and here again inside the Nix shell we learn about init. It doesn't change, right? Doesn't change that much. So it is fine, but just remember, inside your Nix shell, Cabal is different. So we can just check it. Inside Nix shell, my Cabal thing dash v. No, dash version. Yeah, you can see that my Cabal version is actually 3.6.2 something. But I think outside was, I mean, I thought inside was older, but now I'm seeing it is newer. But let's see that what is the outside. So outside and inside, for some reason, they are same, which is actually great. But sometimes remember, actually it was not same, and GHC especially. Can I see GHC version here? GHC version. So yeah, GHC here is 8.10. GHC is the compiler. So once you want to compile your Haskell code, Cabal is a package manager. We'll use GHC to, yeah, so I can see we have the GHC outside is different than inside. In some projects, like for example, Pluto-Arc, this would be hassle, like you have to go with a newer version. Why? Because some features they are using. But for your Plutus, you don't need to worry about that. But let's just check out the things that we just copy here. And I can just simply just even replace them. I see it's just can see that, okay, this is a Cabal version 3 would be safe, 2.4 would be maybe safer, and the name would be the name of this whole thing, like right in my case would be my project. And of course the version, you can define whatever version you want. There are sources you can read about, like what is this version, like this is like major version, like minor, fixes, whatever, all these things mean something. And sure, you can go with even this guy. So until you reach to a stable version, it would be wise to just add this version or whatever in here. So it would be better to track what's going on with your code in Git. And it would be, again, wiser once you create a version or release like this version, like that normal commit hash, it would be wise to match the version of Cabal with the tag you are actually using. So the tag of your Git would be same as the version of the Cabal. But you know that's something regards to killing code and this working good in teams, and that's all. It is not like necessary. And yeah, you can just see all this stuff, and like there are some of the things that interestingly, oh, this is the old one. So cabal.init will just save your old files and just add that save, and it doesn't just rewrite it. That's a good thing. And sure, changelog would be a place for exactly like if you want to change this version or tag, it would be wise to have this file. So just other developers or people will not say, hey, what the hell is this number? It is just number. No, here we will explain what's going on. And then but because we are a very professional developer, we just relatively remove it. And then let's just remove this guy as well and adding what we were exploring in our lesson. So inside Cabal, actually, there are many configuration you can build. The one actually we found would be better, and it just repeats itself in different projects, Plutus project. It would be great to just using something. So we define something called project config inside the Cabal file. And then we will use it, and I'm going to show you, but just let me copy this guy and paste it there. So you don't necessarily have to go with project config. You can just do whatever you want. It is just a name for whatever we are using here, whatever we are adding or putting here. But project config, like the name sounds reasonable to use. So yeah, so we can just do this, and then I'm going to talk about the extension and of course GSC option. But later here we see that if here we talk about this library stuff, which is the packages your contract or your codes will use in order to compile your code. So you see that we just imported. So Cabal is a little bit of kind of domain specific language. It is not that much language, but actually, yeah, we just define a variable called comment, and then add that as imported here. So instead of, and you, of course, you can just take these, all of these, and add it here, but it would be like cleaner to just like doing this. As I of course, you guys can search about this Haskell code, clean code. And yeah, so about default extension of language. Extension are some features of Haskell language, which you can just turn it off or turn it on. Turning off and turning on of this extension actually are kind of costly because your compiled code might end up different, like maybe bigger or less, because there should be some compilation step in order to like figure it out. Like for example, if you have multiple type classes, so somehow in behind the scene the compiler have to recognize what parameter inside the class belongs to what class. So you guys can search about this. So it is not like I just let's enable all of that and just and enjoy it, whatever. No, there are something that you need to consider. These are the extension we found throughout different projects when they were used, and you can of course use it, but you don't. You need to research about them. Some of them are absolutely necessary for compilation. For example, template Haskell. Like if you remove it, your contract actually doesn't compile at all. So yeah, you have to have this one. But if you're in, like for example, if you want to use a record wildcard, which is actually in, let me show you a case. Like why do we want to do that? Like if you guys remember from last week in Akash escrow, here we had this datum, and if we want to use a parameter inside the datum or property, maybe I said property, for example, this land ID inside the datum, well, we have to do this. So like, for example, we have this seller address and price, right? It is inside the address. So we have to do this all the time, like the datum, putting it in parentheses, and then another datum. In a JavaScript style, actually, let me copy it in a JavaScript style. This means actually what? It means like datum dot seller address, or in case of price, it would be datum dot price. So yeah, in JavaScript, if you are familiar, or with other language, if you want to get access to a property or value of something that you defined before, yeah, you need to use this dot stuff. But in Haskell, for some reason, they decided to do like this datum. So sometimes it might be hassle. Like, why the hell we have to do this? So instead of doing that, you can just destructure that type. So you don't need to use, you don't want to use datum all the time and referencing like this. Okay. So it would be like, I can like first find that data constructor. In our case, these are same, but maybe you have different data constructor. We call this data constructor. Maybe in JavaScript, we call it something like, we call it a struct or something. Okay, in other languages like Golang, or this is like a struct. So just take the name and replace it with datum, a curly bracket, and then inside the double dot. This is actually this guy I was talking about, record wildcard. So if you enable this guy, you can do this, and instead of going through with like something like datum dot, like Java datum dot seller address, datum dot price, or in Haskell way seller address datum or price datum, you can just simply get rid of datum and your function works. So a way of destructuring a value inside the Haskell would be like this, destructure. And in order to use that, you have to enable that extension. So that's why they are necessary. And sometimes it is not good to do that because, for example, here, if you are working with other developers, they don't know where this came from, right? Like seller address came from where exactly. So because you can't do exactly same with your parameter as well. So we have parameter, and let's do that. So we have here, and we just now, for example, if you use the seller address price, and if you at the top you have all these things, you don't know this seller address came from exactly where. So still you can destructure your stuff, but instead of doing this, you can just, for example, add seller address here and just column, and I think I forgot its name, and then this, and it means that it is just showing, but like showing like, hey, this variable came from this, because sometimes maybe you have two value, and you want to destructure and they are same. And how do you do that? So you can just say, hey, seller address here and equal to like seller address prim. So you can have two seller address inside two guys, but each of them have like different name, and you can use it inside your contract. In some cases, there are these, Haskell little bit tricks. And if you use this double dots, it means that just destructure those values as it is. Like, we just define their name, although we didn't have to. Like, we could just put this define a variable without defining a name for it. But since we defined the name by using these record palm or wildcards or this double dot, we can just simply reference or use that. So yeah, there are some tricks that makes your life easier. For example, there are some other example as well. For example, about this CTX. Like, if you guys remember, in all this contract, for example, we have to go with this guy, and we have to go with info, and extracting that, which actually value spend means, as I said, it would be CTX dot info dot value spend. So in the JavaScript mindset, or in an object-oriented mindset, this value spend means that. And if and this is a function, so we would use something like that. But in Haskell, it is different. Therefore, we use this. But if we want to just get rid of it, we can do that by just, destructuring this guy, which I think I have the code somewhere. I don't remember, but let me see. But do I have it? I don't have it. I just use the old version. But anyway, actually, we surpassed the time. So if anyone have a question, please ask. I'm sorry I didn't respect the time again, but yeah. Any question, guys?
It's so hard to stop you, my friend.
Thank you. I'm saying thank you, Newman. Martin? Yeah?
Yeah, I was experimenting with forking the plutus-apps in GitHub, and then using, just working in that tree to make your project. So,
Okay. So
is that
you're forking, but if you want to fork, I don't know, there are some setup that your fork will be updated with this upstream. Like if something change here, your fork will get changed, or you can stop it. But why do you think forking would be better?
because you can rename it to the project you want to do, and then you can mix all
exactly.
your, like you if then you have all your flake.nix is for that project, everything keeps it stable without switching.
Yeah. So for those who maybe didn't understand what Martin is saying, you see that actually this is possible. Like maybe one day IOG input output HK, they change their name to input output KH. Why? Well, they like software, like they want to be software, and for some reason they want to show who's boss here and who's running things, And if they do that, and if you have a package or if you have this address, and it doesn't just work, because now it is KH, but it is HK, but now it is KH. So the solution Martin was saying that instead of just relying what's happening here, or maybe even they delete the whole things, like suddenly someone, I just had a good time and I just wanted to delete and see what this button does. So if they delete it, you don't have any access to it. And of course, if you already clone that, if you have already built your project, because you have a local copy, you don't need to worry. But if you want to build or if you want to update, yeah, that's a problem. So what's Martin suggesting? Forking that repo into your GitHub, and then instead of using IOG input here, you can use, like, for example, Martin here. Sorry.
Sticky.
Yeah, see, I don't know what's going on. So I'm sorry. So in this way, actually, what Martin should use as a tag now, it should be his tag. I think so. I forgot forking will create a tag or something, but maybe it doesn't. But anyway, maybe if it doesn't go great, I'm not sure about this forking. But actually, this approach, you make sure like everything would be the same. Even something happened to plutus-apps, they deleted, they changed the name. As I said, that link is alive because you have control over it. Yeah, I like that approach as well.
And can you then just overwrite the cabal.project in the plutus-apps, what is then your project name, but in fact a fork of plutus-apps?
I don't think there would be a problem. Actually, we don't have time, but actually we can test it. If you have time, we can test it. Just
because
test
I was playing around and it works. If I just copied the Gimbalabs template cabal project stuff over into the fork.
Yeah, exactly. You know, because we have several Cabal and cabal.project running around. As I said, I'm a lazy guy. I just like to just copy paste it. Of course, there are some consequences with those copy pasting, and you shouldn't do copy pasting just left and right without understanding what the hell is going on. But if you found it stable, something works, yeah, you just need to copy paste it. You don't need to build everything from scratch, although we learn how to build from scratch. But yeah, this approach of forking, even not just this, maybe even these guys as well. Like you want to make your stuff as stable as, like, if word comes down or ILG, something happen, things work. I think this approach still, I am saying, I haven't tested. Martin is going to test it, and hopefully he will come back to us and confirm it. But personally, I don't see any reason that this approach doesn't work. So you can just simply clone everything here. Clone means copying a repository to your repository and just replacing your input output HK to that. Because actually, guys, I'm not saying it will happen, but probably happen. Input output, they changed their name. It was input output Hong Kong, therefore HK, but now it is global, so input output global. For some reason, maybe I don't know, some they changed that they want to just say we want to go with global because of, if they just say because of legal reason, we cannot just question them that much. If they just say legal reason, So we say, yeah, okay, legal reason. So yeah, okay. So because of that, yeah, we might end up with so many broken links. And as I said, cabal.project is just the directory of a bunch of links. So yeah, the approach of forking would be safer, but let's see how that
Doesn't GitHub handle that for us?
I don't know, to be
Think
honest.
so.
I'm not that
What
much.
could be a problem is if they set the repository to private. Mixi, if you remember, we had that problem
with that one, yeah.
the quick check.
Yeah, because if they make it private, you will end up with 404 page. Like it say, like if they delete it, if they private it, I don't know, if they do something with the link, all of that, you will end up with 404 page, which means that GitHub didn't find it, like a 404 page, like something like this, or like just adding something. You will end up with this page, and this page means broken link, and broken links means you don't have access to that package, therefore your code doesn't compile, and yeah, so all these things. But I don't see any, we are considering people are reasonable, so they don't suddenly private thing, but yeah, maybe even forking would be actually safer. I haven't thought about that. I'm a kind of guy, just wait until disaster happened and learn my lesson.
Yeah, I wanted to just have everything in one folder. So
yeah, it is possible. Yeah, it is possible. And I don't think there will be issue regards to Haskell, Cardano Haskell packages, because again, you see that there is this root hash, and that root hash means we have an access to point of the time of that. And of course, there is this index state. So these root hashes, these have some relationship with each other. So if you see some complaint about Cabal say, hey, your state is too old or too new, and your stuff because of this thing, because your packages like the Cabal and these guys doesn't match actually. So yeah, but how do you update this guy? To be honest, I tried that several times, and honestly, I failed. But if you guys know, without changing anything under it and just updating these at above, it would be great to share this information.
Yeah, I think that's not possible. You have to upgrade all the, you have to define the Plutus ledger version and everything below it.
Yeah, so I didn't say it. But if you guys found something that you can do it in easier way, we would love to hear from you. And of course, we would add those valuable information maybe here as well. And of course, recording your contribution as well. So yeah, let me check the messages. Do you guys think AI will at some point replace us in coding a smart contract? In my opinion, yes. Maybe even if people are saying we are just 18 months to AGI, but still, in my opinion, they will not replace us entirely, because they can write code better than us. They can set up everything, but you know, if you want to have a certification for your DApp, you need to reach to several levels. And the third, the best level or the top level would be formal verification. A formal verification means mathematically, or aka logically, your contract and your front end and your back end, all these three components works perfectly together. And they are working as intended to work, or as intended to be. And there are ways to do this verification, but I don't think that formal verification, that AI can do it. And the reason is you have to have a plan. Like they are saying, if we reach to several billion token with an AI, right now we are around 32,000 with ChatGPT, or sorry, 32,000 with GPT-4. So yeah, we have to reach with several thousand token, and to token, it's like a step. So you have to have like making a long plan in order to reach to that formal verification. And also your AI must have access to everything in order to understand everything, and in order to make a plan. And I don't think that would happen time soon, maybe in 10 years or maybe in 20 years. But yeah, AI, not only they will help us to write better code, but they will help us to write safe and secure code. But still, in terms of planning and these things, like for example, imagine you are saying like you saw this step, and now you want to tell your AI to do that. And imagine it reached some error, and now your AI has to have some critical thinking in order to solve that error. Well, suddenly you see that, of course, your AI can solve it, but if you solve that, just come into that damn link and copy pasting this file will save you several hours of AI thinking. Well, you would do it, so it won't replace us again. Until the day that this AI can do this in more efficient way than us, I think we are quite relevant in this field. My question is related to Atlas. How can we use Atlas in Plutus? Well, you need to check out their GitHub, Genius, Yield, Atlas.
That's been on my learning backlog for a long time. I would love to, when the time is right, have a little Atlas study group and look at that together.
Yeah.
I would also be in that group.
Awesome.
It is really great tool, and I'm really grateful for them. Although I'm not sure why they develop it, because the people who develop this are actually the people who are develop PAB actually to begin with. But anyway, it is a really great. If you want to, if for some reason you have some, you don't want to write your front end interaction with a smart contract, with blockchain, GraphQL, querying this blockchain, whatever, all of this. You don't want to do that. You want to do everything in backend, crafting the transaction in backend, send or creating some API endpoint for front end, and then people will connect to that backend, or sending or receiving things from the backend. PAB, or the better, or maybe actually I'm saying the best version of PAB would be Atlas. And in the Atlas, you can write all this off-chain code, creating wallets, creating transaction, reference input, all of this with some Haskell. And the good news is because you are writing your contract with Plutus, these things are actually understanding the function you've written inside your contract as well. So you can use one function inside your contract and outside your contract. There are some things in regards to that. I'm not just I want to go deep into that. Like you have to add some tag in line, and like this guy above that function, so it would be possible to use it on chain. But never mind. So, but yeah, this is a good thing in regards to Atlas.
As coming attractions, this gives us a nice place to look forward, and something I'd like to get feedback from everybody on next week is that we're going to start building a dedicated mesh PBL course just for that mesh library in partnership with the mesh team. They had a Catalyst proposal approved for that, and they want to deliver the results of that in that format. But what that does for us in the Plutus PBL course is maybe we don't have to include what's currently listed as module 305, which was going to be a slightly deeper dive into mesh. Maybe we can just route anybody who really wants to go deeper into that over to that dedicated course. And then that leaves Plutus PBL as a space where maybe we can, things like diving deeper into Atlas and spending a week or two studying that together. I would find that personally really exciting. So if you have any thoughts on that now or after thinking about it, I would love advice from everybody on how we conceive of this course moving forward. Any questions or thoughts on that? Immediately.
So what I'm understanding is that that it will be in the Andamio LMS.
It will be, yeah. So we're going to eventually, when the Andamio is ready, migrate this content in Plutus PBL over to that, right? But then we'll also be using that code base to deliver the mesh content. Yes.
Well, that would be, yeah, that sounds wonderful. And it appears that mesh is yeah, it's just a smaller sort of subset. Or it could be, you could learn mesh without having to, like, I don't know, I guess you would still need a development environment set up. But no, it's just it's just a smaller field. Yeah, of the narrower scope, which might be interesting.
Yeah. And people, like all of us, gravitate towards different things. I know that anybody who's been here for a longer time has had time to really think, oh, I actually really like writing smart contract code, versus somebody like me who's like, well, I love getting into the Haskell code, but what really lights me up personally is taking smart contract code and building the off-chain code for that. I find that to be, because we all have to prioritize, right? Like that's the thing I happen to find most compelling. And if you're on a team, that's in everybody's best interest to just start specializing a little bit. Okay, we've got somebody writing a smart contract over here. Who's handling the off-chain part? And are they going to use Atlas or Mesh for that? And so you're probably on that same journey, Newman, right? Of starting to recognize, hey, this is the part I like the most.
It really is, and that's like especially getting a little bit out of my comfort zone. Like Mix does a super great job of like putting things out, and what I was like, I really love this operating system stuff. I don't know if it's because it's relatively new, but the container that all of this goes in on, I saw it as a barrier before, and now I'm like beginning to get it. I'm starting to work on, I can follow what people are doing, and so that I'm discovering a new specialization and it's developing. Likewise with the LMS, like that is the container for the operating system, if you will, for learning environments. And so, yeah, I kind of like when asked in that way, that's my, yeah, I can answer that way. Like, I really like the operating system.
I love that. And the like that concept of a container is really cool. And it's like a flexible term that we can think about in a few different contexts.
Yeah.
So where it gets interesting is when it comes to mesh. Mesh provides a lot of what we might call PAB functionality. And part of my interest in Atlas is to figure out, like, hey, do I need to use Atlas and Mesh at the same time? Mesh does some PAB stuff really well, but it's really focused on the JavaScript development environment. And I know I'm going to use it when I'm building a front-end project, but is there any way that we could improve the dApp development process by inserting Atlas into that stack? What advantages does it give us? And so for me, that would be a fun guiding question, and to hear from people who have really embedded themselves in the smart contract side, to hear what advantages they see from Atlas, like leaning on Adrian and Mix for that, for example. And then for those of us who have really learned as much as we can about building the off-chain code, noticing the advantages of Atlas, and to learn that together. I don't know, it feels like a door would open somewhere in there.
In my opinion, there are so many doors. We have to just choose which one to choose.
Yeah.
You know, and
It's good to have friends to like commit to them with.
I looked a bit through Atlas, and I think it would be easier for instances to have more instances of a contract. And also, what they did better in Atlas than in BAB is that you just create the transaction on the Atlas with Atlas and send it to the front end where it is signed and submitted. Because the problem with BAB was that you have to host the wallet of the user.
Are you on the Atlas payroll? Because that was a pretty good sales pitch.
Yeah. By the way, Adrian, do you know we have to...
What I saw, they have the testing. You can test also just the CBOR file. So you can test also a.k.a. contracts with Atlas.
Oh, good. Oh, because
just
I'm
adding the
that headache right now.
But by the way, do we have to use the endpoint again? Like we have to always query with CRUD or something, or no? Can we just do it with code, with Haskell code, or no? We have to query it again.
What do you mean?
The endpoint, like for submitting the transaction. If you remember in PAB, we had to query an endpoint in order to submit that transaction.
No, we just built the transactions with Atlas, send it back to the front end, and the front end signs it and submit it through.
Sending through that front end means sending it to endpoint, right? Does Atlas provide an endpoint for us? Like, can I send a transaction built for Atlas to Cardano node? Like,
yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. You can use Atlas to submit the transaction, but then you have to host the wallet, or you just use a
chain indexer also.
Yeah, it's all possible. They have implemented Maestro, for example.
And by the way, Fayaz asking about a session on Atlas. I hope we will have a session on Atlas in coming future, but yeah, we need to get our hands dirty with Atlas first, and then sure. But I just wanted to show this thing, as I was saying, these are the options plutonomy use for optimizing your contract. At top, these are default options, which you can change it. If you define it something like this, exactly like this, then using these as a default options and give it to that to this function, you know, like this is the function for compiling your contract. Let me zoom in a little bit. And instead of aggressive optimizer, you can just give your customized set of functions, sorry, customized set of its variables. And you can just go look to the plutonomy repository to learn what the hell are these things, what is that, and you can just make it true or false. And the difference of default and aggressive are this guy. These guys are the one actually might change how your code behave, might, as I said again, but it doesn't mean necessarily your contract get worse. You see, JPEG store using that for several years and they are fine, still no hack. So yeah, these are, and you can look for in more detail. I think I made this contract distro a long time ago, and inside this compiler you can check it. I just wanted to share with Piotr as well. He asked about these options. And I went to this rabbit hole and I took this thing. These were at the end of that hole. So these are my gifts to you guys.
And you went line by line through this and kind of built up a feel for yourself of how each of, like you have a good mental model of how each of these affects performance and transaction cost.
I didn't go that much of the default because but I went with this one, especially with optimizer round. Like if I increase it to like 10, like here in optimizer in aggressive it's 10. So like if I go with 5, 20, 200, something like what would happen and reach into level. Some contracts actually works like they get optimizer if you add more added to more 10, like the aggressive is 10, like if you added 11. But for some contract, like the simpler one, especially like minting contract, it doesn't matter actually from 2 to 10 or 100 doesn't matter. But remember, if you add this guy, your compilation time will get really lengthy because it has to compile like 10 times.
Yeah.
And about this trace remove, like it will remove all the error messages inside your contract and replace false with error. Instead of having false, it will replace it with error. And yeah, there are all these things and I went through, but to be honest, I forgot about most of these things. Like what was that? But it was a long time ago. But yeah, we can just look for, if we want to have a journey to this rabbit hole, yeah, sure, we can look for all these.
So hey, I know we're way over time, but Newman, to your question about PAB, just from a mental model building perspective, we've been doing a lot of work thinking about what a validator is and just starting to look at those in Plutus. The Plutus application backend provides basically everything that happens after your validator is written. Okay, well, I have a validator. It should validate at these times. How do I build transactions that do all that? And we've been doing that by hand initially in this course, right? Building transactions on Cardano CLI, giving people a chance to see what transaction building looks like in Mesh, and starting to get into a couple of smart contract interactions there. The original promise of the Plutus application backend, and I'm sorry for just saying PAB and not saying the words out, is that it was actually built in to Plutus at the beginning. But long story short, development on that kind of stalled and the work of the community kicked in. Eventually, people got tired of waiting for a fully functional PAB to come online via the Plutus platform itself and just started building alternatives. And Mesh is an example of an alternative, but it doesn't deliver on the full promise of having all of that running on the back end, because Mesh is not first and foremost a back-end library. You can use it for that, right? So that's where, like, then when Atlas appeared, it was the work of people who understood what the PAB was promised to be and decided to really try to implement it. And they had their own use cases, right? Genius is building a DEX. They need a robust PAB. So they had a lot of expertise for building that. So this is still like a developing story. But yeah, I think it's really interesting to look at some of those options together now that we're all building up that mental model together.
Yeah, thanks for the context there. Beautiful.
And,
Um,
I just want to add that this last point for some people, if they raised some question regards to this, we have some maybe kind of extension, Bluetooth TX extension, or they call it plugin. You can enable them in your contract, and of course you get something, or you will lose something. And losing, for example, if you enable these guys, and if you add, I mean, you have to add where your compilation function is. So where your compilation function, which, like for example, this with plutonomy exists, if you enable this, it will remove all the error messages. So this guy is actually remove messages would be exactly like trace remove of plutonomy. So yeah, there are different stuff. Like if you want to go deeper into debugging your contract, these are the Plutus plugin I found would be better. For debugging context, as the like 3 level would be fine. You don't need to go deeper. I mean, it doesn't print that much. But you need to remember, if you want to compile your production ready things, you remove everything regards to debugging. Maybe another session I would show you some security stuff regards to this. And sure, if you want to dump your Bluetooth core or UPLC, PLC, and PIR, which is Bluetooth interpreter, that the one that the program sit between the Bluetooth TX code, I mean the contract, this is the Bluetooth TX code, and Bluetooth core, which is this guy. This is the Bluetooth core. The one sit between them, it is Bluetooth interpreter, which is PIR. And if you want to dump them and see what's going on with them for whatever reason, and there are some good reasons, like you, instead of giving your code, your contract code to someone to compile it, actually you can dump your PLC, and then there are functions that you can fit your PLC, that dump PLC, to that function, and it will compile it again. And it would be as same as you give this code. So maybe there is an option of open sourcing, but we don't open source this code, but we will open source this dump PLC. You know, it's something like deceiving
Speaking
people.
of things AI could be good at, reverse engineering that PLC dump to human readable, Plutus TX validator code.
We have that. There are functions to do that as well.
Yeah.
Like there are functions here, for example, this core, you can check it out. Like I have this is a human readable code, but not human readable core. Bluetooth raw code would be something like this. So the CBOR code you are seeing in your transaction, whatever, it is actually this guy. This guy will turn into binary. That binary will turn into CBOR. But converting this or reverse engineering this back to contract, still I haven't found a way. There is a function, there is a library called flat. Actually, this been used, like flat has been using this guy, converting this core. This is the core. This is this contract to CBOR, to binary, then CBOR. But reversing this guy to the contract code, to be honest, still I haven't found it. So yeah, maybe there are, but still I haven't. But with dump, maybe there are. But it is a good experience if you like, jumping in some rabbit holes to just enable these. But as I said, enable these stuff where your compilation function exists, not in your contract. If you're putting this compilation function in your contract, okay, let's just enable that. And there's a place to talk about, read about all of these in details in the documentation. There are documentation, and I just forgot where is it. I think it would be in some IOG related Bluetooth documentation, which you can find. Or maybe we can talk about it later. So yeah. Anyway, thank you very much, guys. And I really appreciate your patience. And I hope you learn a lot. And I hope you are encouraged to teach me in future as well. And really,
Woo!
yeah, thank you. And we can have great session in future, and we can explore a lot of other stuff. And I'm sorry, Akash, we didn't develop this contract more, but after, I mean, next week we will talk about time. And there are some, I have written some contract regards to that, but maybe again, we will have some dedicated session, maybe even just Thursday would be a session regards to Plutus, and just continue building this, where is this escrow contract. So yeah, thank you very much, everyone, and let me stop sharing.
Thank you, friend. Good things. We only went 40 minutes over. Not bad, right? What's that?
Yeah, why not?
44% increase in mix time. All right.
I'm just actually, it is like my morning, like it was just, morning talk. People do it with 5 minutes. It was just for me, like morning talk.
Mix uses quadratic overtime.
Exactly.
Ooh, quadratic timing.
Roberto is starting to understand me,
Hey, governing time is the next frontier. We're all fixated on governing tokens.
Quadratic. People think that with quadratic they can change this issue with Cardano. So why
Good
not
luck.
using quadratic timing as well? But yeah.
All right, partners. See you soon or later.
See you soon, guys. Yeah.
Thanks for this one.
Thank you.
Thanks,
But
Mix.
if you guys have any question, you can tag me, or you can ask your question in dedicated channel inside Gimbalabs Discord server.
Cool.
So yeah, thank you very much. Take care,
Cheers.
guys.